Hello there and welcome back to another review. So I've got some more Ringo Lam for you today. Reviewed Wild Search quite a while back now, but today we're going to be having a look at Burning Paradise, which I'm not sure how many of you out there what your thoughts are on this movie, whether you like it. I mean, this is such a 50-50 movie. Loads of people I know love it, and there's loads of people I know that don't like it, and it is one of them movies. Made in 1994 and starring Willie Chi Tin Sang, Carmen Lee and Wong Kar Wai. This was a film I remember on VHS from the I'd say that a lot, I know, from the Made in Hong Kong era, from the Made in Hong Kong label, but it's true. When I was growing up in the 90s, there was two labels, a bit like now where you get Eastern Heroes and 88 Films. Back in the day on VHS, there was Made in Hong Kong and Eastern Heroes. There was also Hong Kong classics as well, but the big boys were basically Made in Hong Kong, who released they gave you sort of the best prints, the best versions of a lot of the Hong Kong classics, a lot of the time with great clear subtitles, especially for the VHS era anyway. And if it was a film, I'll be totally honest, a film I never did own. I've only seen this movie once before, so it's great to own a copy of it. Now, make no mistake, this film was a box office failure, right? Burning Paradise did not do all that well. It's renowned for not doing well. I don't think it was at the cinema very long in Hong Kong. It didn't do at all well. I think it was pulled from cinemas and theatres in Hong Kong after around just 8 days. But let's be honest, box office results don't always mean a film is bad. We know that. Everybody knows that. Just because it wasn't necessarily successful at the box office doesn't mean it's a bad film. And also, what maybe when worked with that, like why it didn't do too well, is this is a very dark movie. It's a very violent movie, and a film for the most part takes place in like a fortress and a lair, sort of like a Temple of Doom, booby traps, you name it. Now, let me just say, I really like this movie. I really like Burning Paradise, and I'm going to try and get into the review today as to why that is. Above all else, because Ringo Lam takes all the traits and the tropes and like the cliches of what we know with the whole new wave movement that was going on in the mid-90s or early to mid-90s in Hong Kong, and manages to make them seem fresh and put his own spin and interpretation to it, like where films are often better, like when darker than their peers. I mean, if you look at, say, Empire Strikes Back, it's darker than A New Hope, or say Temple of Doom. We're all able to be darker and still be highly entertaining, and Burning Paradise is a lot sort of on that wavelength. Whereas most new wave kung fu movies for the most part were somewhat light-hearted in tone with lots of drawn-out comedy scenes, this film is very dark. Very dark. There's not sort of like sometimes in, not necessarily naming sort of films in particular, but in some of the, especially in the 90s, even the old school kung fu movies, but especially in the new wave ones, you get great action and then you'll have sometimes a 10-minute comedy scene that either is not funny or it's maybe sometimes lost in translation to sort of Western audiences and things like that. This film doesn't do anything like that. It keeps the comedy very down low. As I say, this is a very brutal, bloody, dark movie. I think this was a film that really got its audience on the home media market, hopefully even more so now with this release from Eureka. The idea of the Shaolin Temple being destroyed in the Qing dynasty has been told hundreds of kung fu movies, and it is no different here. Now, Once Upon a Time in China, as we all know, started the trend again in Hong Kong for the more traditional martial arts movies, and directed by Tsui Hark, of course. And he was actually offered this one, but chose to produce and let Ringo Lam direct. And speaking of Ringo Lam, isn't it about time we got like an ultimate Blu-ray deluxe edition of City on Fire? I mean, we really do need a new upgraded deluxe edition of City on Fire. There's a lot of Lamb's back catalogue that they do need to get around to releasing. Touch and Go with Samo, there's Prison on Fire, they need to get City on Fire released. There's a lot from Ringo Lam. We do need, as I say, more. So what is interesting as well, where Lam was he was known for doing movies like, say, Prison on Fire, Full Contact is another one. This was Lam's first go at sort of a kung fu movie, which is surprising, especially when you think of Hong Kong directors back in the day. And what set Lam apart from filmmakers like John Woo is that Woo had like sort of codes of honour and loyalty and brotherhood in these films. Lam films and the themes were always a lot more darker, a lot more brutal, and above all else, probably a lot more bleaker. Sort of like in John Woo's films, despite all their violence, there is always a sense of hope, or there's a sense of justice, or there's that brotherhood kind of thing. Ringo Lam's films, very, like I say, dark, gritty, bleak, violent, brutal, that kind of thing. Some have said the film even plays more like a gothic horror. The Red Lotus Temple is like a Quake style, if you remember that video game, Quake style fortress. Dead bodies outside, and it's a proper abandon all hope type place. The temple inside is like hell on earth, ruled over by General Kung. And I do like movies where they are set. I do like films where they are set in one place, and I think, you know, if you've got, if it gives the, it makes the film, it gives it a novel, like makes the film like a novelty, and it really does. Like I said, this movie has some fantastic cinematography and art direction. And what is interesting, like the temple plays into when you think of like classic kung fu movies like 36 Chambers of Shaolin. There are lots of test rooms and devices all pupils must overcome. Here with all the traps and snares, it's like Ringo Lam is sort of showing a temple in a negative way. If you, like I say, if you think of the 36 chamber and there's the Shaolin Temple and there's all these training and gimmicks and like training devices, here it's sort of the opposite of that. Like bizarro Shaolin Temple, so to speak. It's like I say, because there's, rather than like every sort of device being like a training aid or something like that, here every device or contraption you come across is likely going to just break one of your limbs, or it's going to like decapitate you, or wherever it may be. But it's almost, like I say, showing a temple in a negative form. Like I say, I think this movie is radical in the sense it takes what you come to expect from a Huxley movie and plays right on its head, and it doesn't bow down to audience expectations. I think shortly after this, Ringo Lam went to work on Maximum Risk with Van Damme, but Burning Paradise is a movie that will stick in your head quite a while after you've seen it. And to be honest, I thought it was awesome. It's one of them movies that, watching it again recently, I mean, I'd seen it once before, maybe twice, but I'd seen it before. And you know, like sometimes when you see a film that long ago, you sort of have images of what happens in the movie in your head, but you can't remember necessarily the plot. You remember certain things that happen, but you can't remember exactly what happened. But watching it again on this fantastic release, I absolutely love this movie. I absolutely think it's a fantastic movie. And if you, as I say, if you want a really sort of violent kung fu movie set in like a Temple of Doom type place, you've come to the right place here, because Burning Paradise I think it's really good. Even some of the comedy scenes do feel a bit somewhat out of place. As I say, this is dark. This is a dark movie. So the film opens in the Qing dynasty, and the Manchus have assaulted the Shaolin Temple. We meet Fong Se-yuk here, played by Willie Chi, and his uncle being pursued by the pesky Manchus. See, the film does follow some of them classic Shaw Brothers, Chang-Chi kind of traits. What you will notice right away is how violent the film is. One of the guys getting cut in half, but what is great about these opening scenes is you really do notice and get a great sense of scope with like the desert and the sand and the way it's filmed. But then, like I say, the last 2/3 of the movie, when they get to the the Lotus Temple, it becomes very sort of claustrophobic, and like I say, you don't see the outside at all. It's all dark, and there's skulls and everything like that. And like I say, it's awesome. It is really awesome. You get, and plus as well, like so with the opening scene, you get a well orchestrated action scene on horse, and full credit to Eureka as well with this, because this release here looks amazing. It really does look incredible. It just, as I say, it's a fantastic release. We get horses' heads being chopped off by a flying guillotine, no less. As I say, Lam is really pulling no punches with this one. So they find this hut where Carmen Lee's character, Dao is hiding, and they all hide under some hay. So she escaped from a brothel and her family are dead. And I love how Se-yuk is super nosy here about her time at the brothel. Like, what was your first, when was your first time? How old was he? So they're weighted cannons, blasting the crap out of the hut, and they're surrounded. Se-yuk goes to take them out with his blade. Carmen gets taken by the Manchus, and Se-yuk throws down his sword. The uncle gets killed, so they get captured. Like, you think they're going to get away. Like, if you're watching this and you had no idea of the plot or what's going on, you think, oh, they're going to, they'll find a way to escape. They'll find a way to get out of it. But no, they get captured. And this is like, that is the whole movie. They are captured and they want to get out of this place. That is the film. So they get chained up. So none of these, like as you think of a Shaw Brothers, none of the heroes getting away or managing to escape capture or evade capture or anything like that. They get captured. So Se-yuk meets other rebels, and they get sort of chained up and forced to walk behind the Manchus, and are going to the Red Lotus Temple, which I say, once we get there, it's like Temple of Doom. We meet Elder Kung, played by Wong Kam Wong. And one of the captured monks gets gets out to prove his worth, and just when you think a really good fight is about to take place, they reveal there are spikes in the floor which goes through the guy's feet, then his hands. Like I say, in many ways the film sort of plays with your expectations of what you come to expect. Sayuk gets let out in the hope he can reach like Kung's chair, and then like the dirty double crosser starts firing darts from it. Not only that, but the walkway is on, drops in the middle, and the monk now like he sort of gets burnt alive. And despite all the brutalness that is happening, like with Bride with the White Hair, really pay attention to the set design in this movie here, because it's absolutely outstanding. As I say, not just outside visually, but the set design in this movie. This is, you know, for the budget and the constraints they were under, amazing job, you know, really amazing job. And like I said, they give the temple sort of that macabre, sort of gothic, gloomy life that, you know, needs to surround it. And they, as I say, really, really amazing stuff. So Sayuk has to fight one of his brothers, Hong Hee Kun, I believe is his name, who like sort of lives at Red Lotus and is a traitor to the Shaolin Temple. The fight scenes in this movie are very grounded and very, very, very brutal. Like, this is no like Iron Monkey. This is not sort of, you know, I'm gonna, you know, where it's sort of done tongue-in-cheek and it's a bit comedic and there's loads and loads and loads of wire work or anything like that. Sayuk ends up getting like a metal spear through his leg and pinned to the wall upside down. Then in a really trippy scene gets thrown in with all these corpses, and goes down this chute, and he's laying on top, like at one point he's laying on top of a load of these like dead bodies, and it's a very sort of, you know, what's going on. So he meets Master Chi Sun here. Carmen wants Kung like to release Sayuk, and like he will give her anything aside from her freedom. I always felt the film was fresh in the new wave genre when I first saw it originally. When I first saw it back in the day, like I mentioned, you don't get comedy scenes that go on too long. Of course, you do get funny scenes, like when Soy, one of the female henchmen played by Maggie Lam Chun, comes to get Sayuk, and the master down there, like who's down there, keeps changing his expressions, pretending he is a corpse. So Soy propositions Hong Hee Kun, but he wants this other woman, Lu, and says that he is too lowly for her. Deidao sort of becomes Kung's lady at this point, who lets her and sort of Sayuk meet. But man, oh man, is this temple dark. This is one dark temple. Like, you get the thunder and lightning, you get booby traps, you get skulls laying on the floor, you name it. This is not the kind of place, if you were lost, you would want to stumble upon and just ask for directions, because there is no way on earth I would be knocking on that door for anything. No way on earth. So Kung is played wonderfully and so over the top by Wong Kar Wai, and like he basically assaults Carmen's character, as he is annoyed that she is willing to have sex with him so easily and doesn't fear him. Like, so then he does become real, like the fact she's like, oh, let's get this over with, but then he's like, why are you not scared of me? And then he absolutely terrifies the crap out of her, which is like basically how evil this guy is. Then going so far as to rip the head off one of his servants who walks in out of nowhere. We learn that he was once a general, and after realising that we all die and the object is to enjoy life while you can, he plans to push that to the limit. So he's basically like, we all die, life's only short, I'm just going to do whatever I want, basically. A bit like Yuen Wah's character in Iceman Cometh, where he's just like, he just wants to just sort of assault women and things like that. It's a bit like how the character is in this one. Just wants to do whatever he wants because he thinks life is short, so he's just not concerned with any rules whatsoever. And at the Red Lotus Temple, he is like a god, so they do actually give our villain somewhat of a backstory and sort of a motive, so to speak. And it's really powerful scene here where Dao is not scared of him at first, and then like Carmen's character, she becomes absolutely petrified. Sayuk is now in slavery at the temple. Hong Hee Kun is spying on their activities, and Soy sort of covers for him as she has a thing for him. Soy, wonderful performance as well. She sort of covers for him. But what a fantastic, I can't stress enough. Again, like with all my reviews, sorry if I've got some of the names wrong. I try not to keep you too long with these reviews, so I might slip up a bit sometimes on the names or confuse or call one character a different name or whatever. But I can't stress enough what a fantastic, gloomy, morbid, gothic set this is. I absolutely love it. So Sayuk has to fight Haikyo as like Crimson Guillotine, one of Kung's men, wimps out in the Colosseum, and what a great fight this is over this pit of spikes, just because no Soy Hark and no Jet Li and no Yuen Woo-ping doesn't mean that Ringo Lam can't deliver. And like I say, the fights in this, wire work is not crazy, it's not super mad, but you do get great fight action in this movie, and Lam more than delivers. Turns out that the woman He-kun liked has now grasped him into Elder Kung, as He-kun is like a good guy, really, the traitor. He's actually sort of actually a good guy, but he's trying to sort of escape the temple, and has been making a map of all the traps and the layout. So a mass brawl erupts. He-kun and Se-yuk now team up, and we get bridges collapsing, gates coming down, trapdoors, spikes out the walls. I tell you, Indiana Jones would have an absolute field day in this place. He would absolutely, it's Indiana Jones to a T. It really is, but just cranked up beyond belief. So they escape down this chute and meet their master again, who proceeds to show them an exit. They go to save Dao Dao, and again we get a great fight here where they both take on Soy. And believe you me, I think this film is so overrated. Excuse me, I think it is so I think this is so overrated. I think it's bordering on a classic movie. I think you should definitely check out Burning Paradise if you've only seen sort of new wave movies like Once Upon a Time in China or Fong Se-yuk or the Jet Lis. Make sure to check out Burning, just because, like I say, it's got no Yuen Woo-ping doing the choreography. There's no Jet Li or things like that, or there's no sort of main big stars that you might know if you're sort of new to the world of Hong Kong movies. Please still check this film out, because, like I say, it's different. That's one way to sum up the review of this movie. It's very different, but it works on so many levels because it is different. Have Se-yuk trying to support like the bed canopy as he fights Soy as well. So not only is there a trap in that they fall through the bed, but there's also some poisonous gas as well going on. They find this like crypt with a dead woman and some snakes for good measure. Haikyo and Soy make their way to the armory, but she ends up falling through a trap in the floor and getting cut in half. The main henchman, Crimson Guillotine, you gotta love that villain's name, Crimson Guillotine, crashes in to take on Se-yuk. Haikun starts blowing out the temple with explosives that he found in the armory, so there's explosions going on as well, and the whole film, especially in the last third or the last 20 minutes, does become, like I say, with the set pieces and the set design, it becomes not only a martial arts sort of film, sort of a gimmicky sort of film, but you've got a lot of explosions happening as well. So Se-yuk sends a sword into the back of Crimson Guillotine. For some reason he explodes. Yeah, the film is like going for it at this point, and it's just relentless. And I love when the students find the master again, and one of them starts crying, and he's like, "What's wrong with you? I'm not sort of like..." His students, that one of them starts crying, he's like, "What are you doing? I'm not like a lost puppy." Like, I just love that line. It's a shame how they made Soy like this big character, and after she dies she's almost like all forgotten about, because I wanted there to be some sort of character arc with Soy, like maybe she had sort of a mini redemption, or she was going to get out as well, or she had a change of heart. But it's a shame in a way they sort of I thought they were going to make her a big character. She dies just like, but then she's all dies and then it's like all but forgotten just like straight away. Some of the followers get gunned down at this like Buddhist shrine that they pray to. Se-yuk and Haikun take on Elder Kung with a chain, whilst the monks try and blow a way out. They go to leave, and Se-yuk suddenly remembers, "Oh yeah, wait, Dao Dao, Carmen's character's right. I've got to go and save her." So that woman who you were bonding with and had a thing for, he's like, "Oh god, yeah, I better go and get her." Anyway, it ends with them all getting out. Se-yuk rides off with Carmen, and talking about Soy. When I talk about Soy, like, oh, they just killed off the character. And nice they have a moment where Haikun, like, he does remember her at the end. So it basically ends, Se-yuk rides off with Carmen. But what a movie! What a movie! I think it's a great, fantastic movie. Absolutely love it. Flips the new wave wuxia genre on its head. Once Upon a Time in China, this ain't, but please go and check it out, as I think it's an amazing piece of work and a worthy addition to anyone's catalogue. As I say, if you want new wave kung fu, if you want a dark, gothic, kung fu, Temple of Doom sort of epic, the pulls line punches, that's violent, that's over the top performances, and it's just got it all. So please make sure to go and check out Burning Paradise, and I'm so pleased Eureka released this. But let's have some more Ringo Lam. Let's have City on Fire next, or Prison on Fire, or Blu-ray of Full Contact. Any of them will be good, or Touch and Go with Samo, Eureka, if you're listening. So thank you very much indeed for watching. Hope you enjoyed the review. Make sure to go and check out Burning Paradise, and I'll see you soon.
Don't concentrate on the finger, or you will miss all that heavenly glory.